Hello everyone and welcome back to Robe Reviews. It's been a little bit. But it's been a little bit for good reason because I sat down and watched every single Oscar Best Picture nomination. And for some strange reason every year they nominate 8 movies, so I sat down and watched all 8 movies. So I'm going to try to make this quick for you guys and do a review of all 8 movies within this one episode. And as the Oscars are plummeting downhill in ratings and respectability, I'm doing my own Oscars. So without any further ado, let's get into our Oscar ceremony. First movie on the list is Promising Young Woman. It has a great initial concept and starts out really fast and gets you invested really quickly, but the movie starts to fall apart during the second act as it truly rambles off course. The ending is shocking, but it doesn't feel earned or realistic really in any way. And a big problem that I have with it is that every single male character is portrayed as an evil, horrible monster. There's no balance, and lumping all men into a single category like that is exactly what women don't want the other direction. So, a score of 71, and pretty unlikely to recommend this one.
I said, what are you doing?
Moving on to Mank. This movie is indulgent in all the worst ways. It romanticizes Hollywood back in the 30s, even to go so far as having an entire black and white film. And at the end of the day, it's very visually frustrating, and I would much rather have some muted colors or just colors in full spectrum. And that's not to mention that the story is rambling and boring as well. There's really no clear through line holding the movie together at all, and with a 2-hour runtime, it drags considerably. Except for Mank writing Citizen Kane and some problems along the way, I really just didn't care. I love Gary Oldman, but this gets a score of 68 and no recommendation.
What I want to know is what you think of it.
Which brings us to Minari, which is a small independent film, and has a lot of really cute and entertaining scenes, but ultimately it lacks focus at all. You can see this is a common thread with all of these movies. It's so scattered, and it leaves me feeling like nothing was really said at all. It's part marital problem, part Korean moving to America to find the American dream, it's part farmland struggle, it's part kids' relationship with their grandmother. It's really all over the place. It really just doesn't add up to more than the sum of its parts, so it gets a score of 74, and unfortunately not recommended either.
Pretty boy.
I'm not pretty, I'm good looking.
Which brings us to Judas and the Black Messiah, which is also incredibly scattered. You can see this is a common thread with all of these movies. Daniel Kaluuya is amazing as Fred Hampton in this movie, and I wish the movie would have just stayed on him and focused on his story, as well as our other main character trying to infiltrate the organization. However, it jumps back and forth from scene to scene, and often in some random pattern, and it ends up neglecting our 2 main characters. There's a lot of speeches and dialogue about the Black Panther movement, but again, it just doesn't feel like anything more is really being said than what's on the surface here. Throughout the movie, it is unhinged and unfocused, and unfortunately, gets a score of 70 and no recommendation.
You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation.
And here we go. Sound of Metal is another very small movie, but one with a whole lot of feeling in it. This one surprised me the most, as it's a really simple story, but the movie actually moves really well. Riz Ahmed is amazing as a metal junkie who loses his hearing and goes to rehab. And despite some very slow moments and a slow movie overall, this movie actually makes you feel something. It still lacks a lot of excitement and some big entertainment factors, but for an independent movie, I really enjoyed it. So a score of 78 and a slight recommend.
You told me you weren't feeling it? You were in it.
Bringing us to The Father, another Alzheimer's movie, and a very small one, pretty much set only in one apartment, in one setting. In that apartment is Anthony Hopkins, who incredibly portrays an old man with Alzheimer's. His performance was really amazing. But after we understand the main concept that the movie is going for and the device that they're using, the movie just doesn't go anywhere after that. It has a lot of emotion, but it just drags as it goes on. And it's only 90 minutes, but this one felt like it might have been 2.5 hours. So, despite a great performance, it gets a score of 75, and a recommend if you're into small dramas about guys with Alzheimer's.
What is this nonsense?
Bringing us to Nomadland, the theoretical Best Picture. People are not going to like this, but I did not enjoy this movie. The first half hour gives us a lot of hope as to the story that's going to come with Fran living out of her van. After that first half hour, the movie goes literally nowhere. We discover that there's really no story at all. It is glacially paced, and I just didn't care, really by the midpoint on. If I had to see one more still shot of a cactus in nature somewhere, I might have just turned the movie off. So a score of 65 and no recommendation.
See you down the road.
And lastly, we have Trial of Chicago 7, which I did an entire episode on. And if you saw that one, you know exactly what's coming. I loved every minute of that movie. It received a score of 90, and blew all of these other movies out of the water.
Nobody objected.
So, not surprisingly, the Oscar goes to... Trial of Chicago 7, I don't think won any awards, which is pretty shocking. But on the Robe Review show, it takes my best picture. A lot more movies to watch and a lot more reviews to be had. I'll see you guys on the next one.